Welcome back to the Poorly Educated podcast Today in the News, the show where we try to explain the collapse of global civilization using the exact logic you'd hear at a family reunion held in the parking lot of a Bass Pro Shop. Brother, today's news is so wild, the raccoon living in my dryer vent said. Man, I'm sitting this one out. We got sedition, socialism, storms, solar panels melting like Walmart lawn furniture, the internet breaking down more often than my cousin's 03 Dodge Neon, and a Ukraine peace plan so lopsided it looks like somebody parked a tank on a teeter-totter. Buckle up, grab a biscuit, and prepare your brain for impact. Segment 1. Sedition, Epstein, and the Great American Meltdown. Now, brother, the president woke up this morning, logged on to Truth Social, and said Democrats were committing seditious behavior punishable by death. And I don't know about y'all, but anytime the word death is trending before breakfast, I already know it ain't gonna be a calm day. This all started because a bunch of military vet Democrats posted a video reminding troops that, legally speaking, they ain't gotta follow illegal orders. Which is true, by the way. That's like reminding folks you shouldn't deep fry your Thanksgiving turkey inside your living room. Helpful. Necessary. Shouldn't be controversial. But Trump saw that and said, "Oh, so y'all telling my troops not to listen to me?" And next thing you know, he's screaming treason, sedition, probably spells it wrong, but he means it with his whole chest. Then House Democrats were like, "Sir, this is unhinged. Please stop threatening to hang us like it's 1776 fanfiction." They even had to call Capitol Police, which is never a good vibe when you're just trying to have a Thursday. And right when the country's still wheezing from that circus, boom, the Epstein Files Transparency Act hits like a Waffle House chair at 2 a.m. The House passed it 427-1, which is the only time Congress has agreed on anything since the invention of light bulbs. And Trump signed it after calling it a hoax like 3 days ago. Now everybody from Bill Clinton to Reid Hoffman is about to have their flight logs and awkward text messages blasted across the internet like a dirty laundry cannon. And because this administration loves lawfare like raccoons love dumpsters, Trump's DOJ is allowed to withhold documents if they're tied to current investigations. And guess what? Attorney General Pam Bondi magically discovered some current investigations involving all Trump's favorite enemies. Pure coincidence, I'm sure. This ain't transparency. This is reality TV with subpoenas. Brother, America ain't melting down. It's being slow cooked on low heat like a crock pot full of pure chaos. Segment 2. The socialist mayor, the MAGA president, and the awkward federal family dinner. So then we go from sedition to the most awkward playdate since my uncle tried to teach his pit bull to get along with a mailman. Trump meets New York City's socialist mayor-elect, Zohran Mamdani. This is a man whose entire campaign slogan was basically, Trump-proof New York. Brother, that's like Wile E. Coyote asking the Roadrunner out for brunch. And somehow, they had a meeting. Now Mamdani wants free buses, government-run grocery stores, rent freezes, universal childcare. Basically, Bernie Sanders on steroids, but with MTA delays. Trump called him a communist lunatic, which is rich coming from a man who once promoted beans on the Resolute desk. But they still met, because New York needs federal money for tunnels, subways, and things that don't explode when you walk on them. Meanwhile, Trump's people are threatening more ICE raids and hinting at investigating Mamdani's citizenship. Nothing says productive meeting, like implying the other guy ain't from here. And then for flavor, Congress passes a Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith said, Let kids drink whole milk again, and I swear, only in America do we go from sedition charges to free the milk in the same legislative week. Brother, this country needs therapy. Segment 3. The AI bubble, the freight recession, and Bitcoin crying in the corner. Now let's talk about the economy, or whatever this weird financial tornado is we're all stuck in. Nvidia made $57 billion in 3 months, which is more money than my whole county has seen since we discovered copper wire. But the stock still tanked, because investors are suddenly like, hey wait, what if AI can't actually make money? Brother, y'all should have asked that before buying servers big enough to heat the moon. The Nasdaq dropped, the S&P dropped, Bitcoin fell harder than my cousin Jerry after chugging apple pie moonshine. It was sitting at $125,000 in October, and now it's crying in the corner at $85,000 like a teenager grounding itself. The Fed's trying to calm everybody down. John Williams basically winked at the markets and said, "We might cut rates in December." Traders heard that and lost their minds like he promised free Taco Bell for life. But another Fed official said, "Nah, we're good where we are," which means the Federal Reserve is now just 2 people arguing in a Cracker Barrel parking lot. Meanwhile, the real economy is doing worse than my buddy Scooter's landscaping business after he accidentally mowed over a wedding tent. Imports are down $18 billion. Long Beach is down 16%. Trucking volumes collapsed. The holiday shipping season is so dead, Santa's thinking about converting the sleigh to DoorDash. A giant grain dealer, Hansen Muller, went bankrupt, leaving farmers sweating harder than a turkey in November. Even Michigan had to rebuild its unemployment system, because the old one broke during COVID like a 1998 Gateway PC. This economy ain't a recession. It's a country trying to fix a flat tire with a stick of gum and blind optimism. Segment 4. Ukraine, the Middle East, COP30, and the global "Oh Lord, it's all on fire" report. Now internationally, buddy, the world is basically a busted-out group project where every member quit, except the one kid who never learned PowerPoint. The US just released a 28-point Ukraine peace plan that feels like it was negotiated by giving Russia the answer key ahead of time. Ukraine would have to give up Donbass, give up Crimea, shrink its military, ditch NATO forever, and basically pinky swear to stay out of trouble. In return, Russia gets sanctions relief and an attaboy. Europe took one look at this and said, "Is this a joke?" Meanwhile, Trump said Ukraine has until Thanksgiving to accept it. Nothing says diplomacy like a holiday countdown timer. In the Middle East, Gaza's still on fire, Lebanon's getting hit, settlers are burning stuff in the West Bank, and Netanyahu is holding emergency meetings like he's trying to run a government out of a Waffle House kitchen. The US is selling F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia, which is like giving a chainsaw to a toddler and saying, "Be responsible." And COP30, the Global Climate Summit, has collapsed harder than a Dollar General shelf. They removed the phrase, "phase out fossil fuels," which is literally the one thing the climate summit was supposed to talk about. A bunch of countries are threatening to block the entire agreement. The US isn't even participating because we left the Paris Agreement like a drunk uncle storming out of a barbecue. Brother, the world ain't on fire. It's grilling itself medium well. Segment 5. Storms, space stations, muscle magic, and the internet face-planting again. And finally, the softer news, which still ain't soft. The internet went down again because Cloudflare tripped over something and half the world's apps face-planted like goats fainting. X went down, ChatGPT went down, Claude went down. Everybody was texting, "Is your internet broken or is mine?" Like we were back in the Stone Age tapping rocks together. But science came through like a nerd superhero. Researchers found out macrophages, tiny immune cells, basically plug themselves into your muscles like USB cables and zap them with calcium to kickstart healing. Meanwhile, scientists in Singapore invented a new solar panel glue that keeps perovskite cells from melting in the sun like cheap Halloween candy. The ISS just celebrated 25 years of humans living in space, which is wild, because I can barely live with myself for 25 minutes some days. And all this good news would feel nicer if half the country wasn't about to be smacked by a Thanksgiving superstorm that's got tornadoes in Texas, snow in Wisconsin, and flight delays so bad your grandma might end up spending the holiday inside a Charlotte airport Starbucks. Michigan also graduated 50 new state troopers, which is great because we're going to need them if this storm knocks out the whole highway system like a toddler knocking over block towers. In conclusion, brother, if today's news teaches us anything, it's that America is basically a big old jalopy bouncing down a dirt road with one tire missing, an oil leak, a raccoon in the glove box, and a driver yelling, "We're fine," while the hood flies off. We got sedition panic, socialist mayors meeting MAGA presidents, the economy acting like a rodeo bull on Monster Energy, global alliances breaking like cheap fishing line, climate talks drowning in oil, the internet collapsing, science trying its best, the ISS waving happily from space, and a storm fixing to ruin your Thanksgiving leftovers before you even make them. So stay safe, stay weird, stay poorly educated, and remember, if the world ends, at least you heard it here first, explained with the same energy as your cousin explaining why his above-ground pool caught fire.